So in this video, I'm going to talk about setting up your MOP App account. And for that, you want to have this packet in front of you. This will provide a place for you to write down information, but it also has some of the information that we're going to use to set up your account. So when you're using the MOP app, you're going to want to set up your account using a student ID that I am assigned to you, and it'll be on the next screen. I've assigned one to each student kind of based on which block you're in, how many students are in your classroom. If you don't use this student ID, we'll have some issues later on as I'm checking your work. So your school is going to be Beaumont School. The teacher code is BSKS, which stands for Beaumont School Karishik. And then you have my email as kashik@beaumontschool.org. And there is no source code needed. We're not using any source code, so you can always use those blank. So all of this information is on that sheet of paper that I showed you right here. It's got Beaumont School, BSKS, my email. So now you're going to want to find your name on this screen. Now, if you switched blocks since like mid-July, I may have you in the wrong block. So, but find your name here and use the code that is next to your name. If you have switched blocks, it's not a big deal as long as you have your own personal student ID that's assigned here. If you are a new student and you weren't in my class when I set all this up, I am going to have you go to whatever block you're actually sitting in, and I want you to increase the number here at the bottom by 1. So if you are a new student and you were not assigned into my classes as of the date I typed this up, you're going to want to, let's say if you're in block 1, you're going to want to go down here and say you're going to be 20120. If you were in block 2, you'd be 20223. That's only if your name is not up here. Otherwise, if your name is up here, write this code down on your sheet of paper. Later on in the semester, if you get a new phone, you'll have to reset it up. If you end up having some issue with your phone and things get deleted, you'll still have to reset it up, and you're going to want to be able to look back on this. This video will stay up there, and I will keep this Excel file accessible on Google Classroom, but it's way easier if you just write it down on the sheet of paper. And I apologize if I have any typos here in your name. I am sorry about that, and I will work on getting things fixed as the semester goes on. So when you're doing this, you're going to go into your MOP app, and you're going to input all of that stuff into an early screen, very much like any other setup thing. You're going to want to do that for both MOP App 1 and MOP App Part 2. So pause the video. You should have already purchased these based on previous work that you did. Go ahead and get these set up. Pause that right now and work through it. And I'm going to talk about what the MOP apps are going to be used for. So what we're going to be using these for is to kind of check your understanding on some physics concepts. And the better you understand a topic, the easier the questions are. So you're going to end up going in, and your ID number will end up showing up on your screen, and your teacher code is going to be the one that you just put in. So this is kind of what happens when I go in it, because I don't really have a teacher code. Sometimes I do go in it with the BSKS instead of guest, but yours should always show your ID number and BSKS. So these are kind of what the screens look like. They're always a set of questions, and we will use those throughout the semester. So every time you work on a set of questions in the MOP app, you're going to receive what is called a success code, and that is specific to you, and it uses your student ID and my teacher code, So if you don't enter your ID correctly here at the very beginning, the code you submit for credit will be incorrect and you won't receive credit when I do code checks. This has been an issue in the past, and they look like they're random letters and numbers, but they really aren't. So you want to be sure that you've entered things up right at the very beginning. And I will talk about these details again later on. When you do an assignment in the MOP app, you're going to run everything in marathon mode instead of sudden death. Marathon mode is good for practicing the questions. Sudden death will kick you out as soon as you answer a question wrong. So if you miss a question, you're going to have to start all over again. So in your packet, you're going to have some pages that look like this that allow you to write down your success codes. You're always going to have bronze success codes when you are doing ones in marathon mode. And it doesn't matter if they're gold or silver, because ultimately, if you get a code, it shows that you answered all the questions correctly. And that is our goal, is to get to the point where we understand the concepts well enough that we can answer all the questions correctly. So that's why you have a number of sheets of paper. The very first one in your packet is Newton's laws. And so because that's kind of where we're starting off at the beginning of this semester. And your assignment numbers here, I'll be assigning them by these. There will be no start codes. And then you're going to write your success codes here. Your first assignment will not happen until we're in chapter 2. So you can put all of this aside for now. I just wanted to have you guys get it set up, make certain that you can get into the MOP app. You don't have to answer any questions now. All I really want you to do is make certain you put your student ID number in it, put the teacher code, BSKS, and that the app will actually run on your phone. So be sure you do that for part 1 and part 2. And then I will talk to you in the next video.